Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 112 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by Harper Wolf. She's on the Marymount women's volleyball team. Harper, how's it going this Sunday morning?
It's going great. I just got back from church and I got to have brunch with one of my friends here at Marymount. So going great over here.
Yeah, good Sunday morning.
Yes, sir.
So why don't we start, kind of go back, talk about your recruiting journey a little bit, kind of how you ended up here. For you, when did your recruiting start? At what age did you start, getting contacted by schools?
My junior year of high school is when I got started getting contacted by schools, but I didn't really start the recruiting process till like legitimately my junior year of high school and went during the club season for volleyball. Volleyball club season's like really winter and spring. So I started pretty late, I'm not gonna lie. Because most people they like build up film and stuff their sophomore year, and I just didn't do that because I didn't really get the whole scene because I didn't grow up in the US all my life. So I wasn't really accustomed to college sports, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, did you have thoughts at a younger age of like continuing to play volleyball in some capacity?
Um, I mean, like my freshman year of high school is when I thought like, oh, maybe I want to go play volleyball at the collegiate level. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty late considering like other kids are like in like sixth grade being like, I'm going to go play in college. I'm like, oh, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. This is the like, I don't know, one of the fun things I like doing about the podcast. Like everybody's got a different, kind of journey, a different way they started. Some people like start later and some people start really early, some people start in the middle, and I guess it really doesn't matter when you start as long as you make it. And I mean, you're playing at Marymount now, so it doesn't matter that your recruiting journey started later because you're here. So what was it about Marymount that like stood out to you?
So with my recruiting journey, how it really started was I reached out to a lot of schools that had either kinesiology programs, health science programs, or just PT programs in general, or I had programs that would lead into PT schools. I've applied to a lot of schools that had 3+3 programs, which is basically do your bachelor's for 3 years and then you do PT school for 3 years. So it's accelerated program. And in Marymount, they have something called PT Scholars, which I applied for and got in. Basically, you have to maintain a 3.5 GPA all 4 years, and then you get automatic admission into their PT school. And it's very competitive to get into PT school, and that's why. Like my main focus was just to get into PT school, and all of the schools that I was considering, other than Marymount, I had gone into like their 3+3 program, and or like a kinesiology program of some sort.
So you want to be a physical therapist?
Yes, I
Yeah.
really want to be a physical therapist.
My wife is in PT school right now too, so that's kind of funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've never heard of that program you were talking about though. The like where you're kind of like automatically in if you can maintain your GPA. That's kind of cool. It's a neat opportunity because it's definitely competitive to get into PT schools once you do your undergrad and then you're applying to other schools. It's very competitive, so it's nice that like as long as you keep your grades up, you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Done
that's
a good
cool.
job of that so far. So great.
Yeah. So if somebody, was considering their options, they got a lot of D3 schools, but they kind of thought like, oh, I really wanted to play at a higher level. I'm not sure about going to play D3. What would you tell them to say like, hey, this is a good plan. You can go play some good volleyball. You can get a good education. Like, what would you say to somebody who's wondering if it's the right path?
Well, I mean, it depends on what they really want out of it because for me, like I had talked to Division 2 schools as well. It wasn't like I just talked to D3. I didn't talk to any D1. I'm too short for that. So, um, but for me, it came down to how much time I was willing to spend for my sport and for academics. Because really, for me, it was more I wanted to have a good academic like opportunity for academics. And D3, there's some amazing competition in D3, and I've learned that from playing in Division 3. Like I've NYU played against them, amazing school. The girls are phenomenal players. Like literally all of those girls could have gone and played Division 1. I've played against Johns Hopkins, also phenomenal school, great education, and again, the level of competitiveness is so high. Like all of those girls also could have gone Division 1. Like D3 is just really like it's a shorter season. And then yes, you have schools that aren't as competitive, aren't as strong, not physically and you know. Um, but it's not bad. Like Division 3 has a bad rep of being like a bad division, like you're not good and whatever. But that's not the case. Like you have girls that could have gone into higher divisions, but they chose D3 because of education purposes. And also they get to focus on their degree more than they do on their sport. Like Division 1, I mean, what is it, the Big Ten where you have like coast to coast? You have to go to like freaking Stanford and then you got to go to Penn State. Like that's crazy to me. That's too much. D3, you don't really have to do that. You're usually within, I don't know, 500-mile radius of where your school is competing with other schools, which is really nice.
Yeah, easier to balance your
Mhm.
athletics. You can keep playing your sport and then you can focus on your grades. But like I totally agree with you. Like that's one other thing. Like I like to interview D3 athletes because I feel like kind of like you said, D3 gets a bad rap. Like people just look at it and they see, oh, it's the lowest level of NCAA competition. That automatically means that you must not be that good of an athlete. You're not getting athletic scholarships, so you're not that good. That's totally not true. Because like you said, there's a lot of people who value the education more. They're a phenomenal
Mhm.
athlete, or maybe they wanted to stay closer to home, or whatever the reason is. That's why they're at D3. It has nothing to do with their athletic ability. I guarantee you, there's D3 programs that could be Division 2 teams and maybe even some low-end Division 1 teams. I mean, you
Well,
see it in exhibition matches all the time.
I'm really glad you brought that up because my Marymount has beat Division 2 teams. Like last year, for instance, it was like one of our developmental games. We went against a Division 2 team, and we absolutely, no offense to the team, we did destroy them. Like it was one set was probably like 10 to 25. So I mean, it's possible.
Oh yeah.
Three doesn't mean that you're bad. In like NYU, for instance, or Johns Hopkins, they 100% can beat low tier Division 1 teams, and even Juniata, which is the tippy top D3 school for women's volleyball. They're back to back national champions, and like I've seen them play, they're insane. They can honestly probably beat like a mid tier D1 in my opinion, or be on the same level.
Yeah. And I mean, like a lot of schools, like recruiting, there's definitely kids that can go D1 and they don't because they didn't get that exposure. Maybe there's not a D1
Mhm.
school anywhere near them, so they had no one recruiting them. If they didn't play, in a nationally known club team, they didn't travel.
Mhm.
If they were just in a more regional club team, there's not a lot of D1, exposure, then you're not going to get recruited by that. Again, it has nothing to do with your level. And some D1 schools they might be recruiting kids that if that kid lives somewhere else, they'd be getting recruited D2. Like it really is all like regionally based. I mean, there's a lot of
Mhm.
politics that get involved in recruiting and then obviously your personal wants and needs if you're going to go for education or if you're going to stay close to your family or whatever that is. But it's definitely nice to have the like playing a high level sport without the stress of D1. Because like you said, when you're in D1, you're fully committed. Like you don't have any free time. Like your sport is your life, and then that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends that play D1, and it's just absolutely insane to me what they have to do because I couldn't fathom having to do that and having school on top of that. Like, I mean, a lot of us are taking 15 hours worth of classes or 15 credits, however you want to say it. I know people say it differently at different schools. Um, but like if I had to take 15 hours or 15 credits worth of classes per semester and compete at the Division 1 level, I don't think I could. I don't think I would be have the same grades as I do here as I would at a Division 1 school because I just simply would not have time.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's really incredible what D1 athletes can accomplish in the classroom. When you see people who play a D1 sport and then they graduate with anywhere from a 3.5 up, it's really impressive. And they're not just taking I mean, some of them they're graduating as engineers or whatever they're doing. I mean, they're high level courses and high level universities. It's really incredible. But there's not a lot of free time. You don't have a lot of extra time. Um, so that's one, I guess, plus that I see with D3. But I'm always curious of what an athlete who's in a D3 program, has to say because they're definitely the public kind of view, like I said, I think the public looks down, but I think it's because people are kind of ignorant to like they don't understand the world of recruiting. They don't understand that, like you might be playing D3, but you were also recruited by D1 schools. You just made that choice to go D3. Like people don't get
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends from back home, she was recruited by Division 1 schools, but she chose to go to Emory because one, she, I think, what was she saying? I can't remember what she's saying. I know it's like a STEM major. They're very, very hard. Um, but she decided to go to Emory, which is a Division 3 school, because less of a time commitment, can focus on her studies and still compete at a high level. Because Emory competes against like the highest Division 3 schools. They compete against NYU, compete against compete against. I think they compete against Johns Hopkins and many others. So
Yeah. Yeah,
that's like a prime
definitely.
example. She could have gone D1 and she was talking to D1 schools and I'm pretty sure she had a couple offers, but she just decided to go D3 for those reasons.
Right. And nobody else would know that unless you actually like
Mhm.
knew her personally. Otherwise, you're just going to see her on the D3 squad and you're not going to know why she's there. But yeah, I definitely think and the same thing with NAIA schools. Like
Mhm.
there's I see it all the time. They beat Division 2 teams, Division
Mhm.
3 teams when they do the NCAA kind of like crossover matchups. So it really doesn't matter where you're playing. That doesn't kind of define what kind of an athlete you are. At least that's what I believe. Other people may believe something different, but
No, I agree
that's
with
what
you
I
on that.
think. Yeah.
I agree with you on that, but I mean, there's still between the divisions, there's still like a physical aspect. They're like obviously Division 1 players are much more physical than
Oh
the
yeah.
majority of Division 3 players. So I can see why people would think that, and that part is true, but it doesn't account for every player.
Right. Yeah. If you look at it across a whole, obviously there are a lot of people playing Division 3 that couldn't make it to Division 1 and Division 2 and all that. But
Yeah.
you can't. I feel like when you just kind of give a there's a this or that. There's like definitely a middle. It's not just one or the other. It's not your absolute garbage or like there's across the whole board for all the divisions. I mean, there's Division 1 schools that probably shouldn't be Division 1. Like you look and they haven't won games in years. Like there's a Division 1 football team. I don't think they've won a game in the last like 2 or 3 years. Like, they'd get beaten by Division 3 teams. You guarantee it. Like, should they be Division 1 or I mean, it's just they have been for years.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that they're better athletes than anyone else.
No, no.
And you get cool experiences at Division 3, like you guys did last year. You were Atlantic East champions, and then you got to go to the Division 3 NCAA
Mhm.
tournament. So you're still experiencing cool things. You're still experiencing kind of like the spotlight. You're getting to win. You're getting a chance to win championships, and that's what everyone wants.
Mhm. No, yeah. And it was honestly a very cool experience getting to go and compete at the NCAAs. That that was last year. I was a freshman last year. And I was very thankful I got to play a little bit I didn't get to play in the championship for ACs, but I did get to play in NCAAs, which was awesome. It was only freshman I got to. And also when I first came here, I had surgery on my shoulder back in March of 2023, and I was still not fully cleared to play. So half the season I wasn't playing, and then another half I got to play a little bit, and then I got to play in NCAAs, which was just so surreal. Like it was amazing because I came from not being able to like I wasn't allowed to dive, I wasn't allowed to block, I wasn't allowed to hit or anything when I first came in to being allowed to getting a couple kills at the NCAAs against Stevenson and I don't think I got any blocks, but I was able to play, which was amazing. I wasn't able to for extremely long time. It was very, very hard journey I had to go through.
and that's great experience that like you can take into next year because you're playing at you're playing the best of the best in the tournament and being a freshman and getting that opportunity. Obviously, like you said, you were the only freshman, so like
Mhm.
you've kind of got a little extra piece, a little advantage that other freshmen across the country, across different teams don't get, which is really
Mhm.
cool. And just to like be able to experience that as a freshman, like a lot of freshmen don't play at all. You redshirt your first year, so to get to play at that high, that big game, that's really cool. It feels good, great memories. I mean, the whole works.
Yeah. And it was really cool that when we got to play at NCAAs, it was at Juniata, and Juniata had won the NCAAs the year prior. So it was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like we got to see their trophy and all of that, and just got to be at the school, which was, I don't know, it was really cool for us because I mean they were the champions last year, and just getting to be around that environment that they were in, I just
Yeah.
thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no, it's cool to be around a championship environment, to see their facilities, to see the way they do things.
Mhm.
And, I mean, everyone wants to be a champion. Um, so if you can like kind of just be around that vibe, it can rub off a little bit sometimes and makes you want it then because now you're like, oh, this is where they are and they're champions. Like, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
It makes you want it a little bit more.
Mhm.
So this season's been a little bit tougher for you guys. Not the season you wanted, I'm sure. So how do you keep yourself motivated when you're going through a tough season like that?
Well, I try to play every point like it's the last point. I really, I mean, I will be honest with you, I've struggled a lot with mental game. And so I try my hardest, and sometimes it doesn't show that on the court, but on the inside, I'm really trying. I try my hardest to keep a more positive attitude. Um, and I try to encourage my teammates a lot. And well, it's been a really tough season, I'm not gonna lie. And I feel like it's just a mixture of all being he's a new coach, and a lot of the girls were coached by the coach that was here for like 25 years. So we weren't able to bring in a lot of what of her like kind of culture into what our team is. He wanted to build a whole new culture, and I feel like it's still just getting all the kinks out. But yeah, I mean, it's really just playing for your team, trying to encourage your team, and playing every point like it's the last point.
Yeah, it's hard when you have a new coach at any team, any sport. I mean, there's going to be those kind of growing pains, those road bumps. It's not going to be easy because, like you said, there was a culture here, and the new coach kind of wants to bring in and they want to make things kind of their way. I mean, they're the coach now. I mean, that's understandable that they'd want to like bring in their own culture. But also, I mean, you got the if there's something that works, why change it? So like, you can see both sides of it.
Mhm.
Um, so it's always tough having a new coach. But yeah, and it's mentally, like you said, mentally hard. Like when you're losing, that's the hardest part. It's the mental, why are we losing and the doubt and trying to like keep that motivation up. I mean, the mental side of sports is so much bigger than the physical skill. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you're not like mentally right, if you're not confident in your abilities, then it doesn't matter if you're the tallest person, the strongest person, or whatever. Like, excuse me. It's definitely, are you mentally prepared? Are you mentally confident? I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
I mean, volleyball, I feel like volleyball is more like 50% mental game and 50% physical game. Because if your mental game is atrocious, then you're not going to be able to play physically. Like if you can't trust yourself, then you're not going to be able to play. If you can't trust your team, you're not going to be able to play and succeed. So,
Yeah, definitely.
so
And I feel like until recently, like the mental side of sports, when the last like 10 years, it started to become more important. A lot of teams do different mental training to help their athletes. They do sessions and all this stuff. And I mean that never used to be done. And like the focus on the mental side of sports is definitely growing and that's a good thing to see. But there's still obviously a lot of ground to be gained. We've made a little bit of progress, but it's kind of just the tip of the iceberg.
Hmm.
And I think it's kind of crazy when you think about it that it wasn't pushed more, like the correlation between being mentally good and playing well. I mean, it really doesn't seem like rocket science. Like,
No.
why it took so long to figure it out is kind of a head scratcher. I mean, you think about it, if you don't feel good mentally, you're not going to play good. If you're in a low place for whatever reason, something going on at home, something going on at school, I mean, you're not going to play well. And there's so much stress as a college
Mhm.
athlete because you're like, well, I got this exam next week, and then maybe you got something going on in your personal life, and
Hmm.
then now your team is losing. So like now you've got to battle with that. You got like all this stuff going on. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really incredible.
It's it is quite mentally draining, I will admit to that. And honestly, very emotionally draining for athletes. And like for me, I have stuff going on with school, I have stuff going on in my personal life. And then just adding volleyball on top of that is just, oh, it's a lot. But I mean, I feel like college sports is what prepares us for a professional field with whatever professional field we want to go into. And you're going to have to deal with that anyways once you get into whatever profession you want. Like for me, I want to be a physical therapist, but like I'm still going to have to deal with, my personal issues. I'm still going to have to deal with work, and I'm still going to have to deal with, I don't know, if I like decide to coach a club team, I would still have to deal with that. Like that as a little side job. Like those are all stressors that I would still have to carry on with me. And this is giving me an opportunity to actually figure out how to maintain that and control it, really
Yeah.
control my life.
Yeah, sports do so much to prepare you for life. And, even if you're only a high school athlete and that's as far as you go, you're going to get a lot out of that working as a team, having to take orders from your coach. I mean, you're going to have to take orders from a boss someday, whether you agree with it or not. Like, if your, coach is calling plays, you're like, man, I don't agree with that. You don't really have a choice. Like, if you work for a boss and they tell you something, you might not have a choice. So, it prepares you in all kinds of ways, the stress, overcoming adversity, all these things that are going to help, like you said. The real world is busy. Once people start, if you have a family and then maybe you got kids and a job, and you've got, like you said, if you're coaching, and if you're a PT, you've got your patients, and
Mm-hmm.
you're juggling your life and your work life. I mean, it can be a lot. So that stress in college, as much as it sucks, it can help in the end.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that because, like, for me, I want to have a family one day, and I'm going to have to deal with all of their stresses. I need to deal with my work stresses, and I'll have to deal with any other kind of stresses I have to, like, financial and, emotional, friendships, relationships, all of that I'm going to have to deal with in the future. And this is giving me a little, I guess, like foreshadowing what it's going to look like for stressors. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So, what's your favorite like thing about volleyball? Obviously, you've been playing it for a long time, and like you wanted to keep playing it, and I feel like you wouldn't keep playing a sport if you hated it. So, there's got to be something you love about volleyball.
I think the thing I love most is when you're in a really, really long rally and you're really busting your butt on the court and you win that rally, just the amount of joy you feel from winning that. Because I'm an extremely competitive person. Like if I win a rally like that, I'm like, holy crap, that's amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just elated. I don't know. Like that's like one of my favorite things about volleyball. If you're talking about like things you do in volleyball, like hitting, blocking, and stuff. I mean, like when you get a crazy kill, like for me, I'm outside. When I get a crazy kill, I love that feeling. It feels awesome. And just
Yeah,
seeing all your teammates get super excited for you. So
right. Yeah,
those are
volleyball
my,
is a crazy game. It's really fun. Like you're scrolling on Instagram and you get some like crazy volleys that pop up, and high level volleyball or any level
oh
volleyball. I remember watching a few. Like I like beach volleyball better than indoor volleyball
my gosh,
because
I
you
was
get
a beach
some
player. Love it. It's
yeah, you get some wild volleys because I mean you're laying it all out because you're diving into the sand. It doesn't hurt as much. Like I mean you get some really impressive volleys, and it's just like incredible. You think
Mhm.
all hope is lost, and then oh, here we go. We're still going.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. No,
it's
that's
exhilarating.
it is. And just like, I don't know, the adrenaline you feel like during the play and then after you're just like it kind of all just comes down. You're like, yes, like finally we did it, y'all. So that's my favorite thing about volleyball.
Yeah. Well, if somebody told you you could never play volleyball again, like what would be your second sport? Like what's your second favorite sport if you could
Okay,
never play volleyball again?
I'm glad you said this because in high school, I was a 4-year varsity athlete on the track team, and I absolutely love track. But I did field events. I'm not a runner, okay? I'll admit to that. I was a long jumper and I was a high jumper, okay?
Yeah.
But it would definitely be track. That would be my second. That'd be my second favorite sport. Like
Yeah.
honestly, and when I was in high school, I loved my head coach. I loved the girls on the team. I felt like it was a really great place where I could just, let loose. And then also just it not, I like team sports, but for it not to be all a team sport, like all the stresses that come with that, it was really nice because it's really just um, sorry, individual events, and at least for mine, because I was never in the relays. So
Yeah.
track would be it, or beach volleyball, because I absolutely love beach volleyball, but I know that kind of doesn't count.
Yeah, kind of under volleyball, but I agree. I
Yeah.
was a track kid. Loved track. There was something about like just the meets, being in high school, go to the meets, you're hanging out with your
Mhm.
friends because they're so long and right, your event could be at the very end. Maybe you got one at the beginning, one at the end, or whatever you're doing. So the
Yeah.
rest of it was just hanging out with your friends on the football field and watching your other, your teammates compete and there was something about the bus ride. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah, then meets, I love the meet so much. And even like when I got hurt, it was my senior year of high school. I lost my entire senior season for track and field, which broke my heart. But my track coach, he still allowed me to come to the meets, and it was so nice because you get to be with your teammates, you get to meet new people because you get to compete against a bunch of different schools. It's not like you're just going against one, you're going against like 6 or 7 different high schools or schools in general. Like if I'm talking about the collegiate level, like going like 6 or 7 different colleges. And it's just a nice atmosphere to be in. Cause like for me, I'm a big people person. I'm very social. So it's really nice to just get to talk to a bunch of new faces. I don't know. That was one of the things I loved about track. And just to
Yeah.
see the athleticism from the athletes as well.
It's a tremendously underrated sport. People follow it during the Olympics, and otherwise they don't really follow it. I mean, like, no, I like what if it's on, like NCAA nationals and stuff. I mean, it's fun to watch track. I mean, it's so impressive, like you said, the athleticism that's on display and the range of athletes. It's really a fun sport. I don't know, people who kind of like look down on track, I mean, like, I don't know, there's a lot going on from like being fast, but also you know people like the pole vaulters. I mean, that's like a tremendous skill, and
Oh
I
yeah.
could I could never do it. It's just
Oh, it's
incredible
scary.
though. Or people who are doing heptathlons and you're doing all of the events and you've got to excel at every single one. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah. My dad always wanted me to be a heptathlon athlete. He's like, Dad, I can't do hurdles. I'm sorry. That's not
Yeah.
happening.
I did hurdles my senior year of high school. I loved it. I wish I would have done it for like all of high school. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's hard. You've got to like get the form down, otherwise you can't do it. And I mean, it's hard though. It's like doing in high school 300 hurdles. College they have the 400, but oh my gosh, it's brutal. But it's fun. Definitely fun.
Yeah.
So, what are your hobbies, non-sports wise?
Okay. So, um, I'm from Texas, if you couldn't tell from my flag back there. Um, and I love going swing dancing. So I'll go to dance halls and I'll go and swing dance. I do very little line dancing. I'm not the best at it. I only know like 5 or 6 line dances, but swing dancing's where it's at for me. Like I love doing two step, triple step, sorry, triple two, not triple step, triple two, or like waltzes. I find it really fun. And also some of the things I'll do, like I'll do aerials where like you get lifted up off the ground, sometimes thrown in the air and stuff. So that's my hobby is swing dancing.
Is there much of that going on around the Marymount
No,
campus?
no, unfortunately, there's none here. But
Yeah,
some of my teammates have asked me to teach them, and that's like how I get to still have
yeah,
it is by getting to teach other people. But every time I go home, I'm at a dance hall. Like I legitimately just go straight to the dance halls.
Yeah.
Like, bye all.
Yeah.
You'll know where I am.
It's hard when you move across the country and it's just like a different culture, right? Like nobody swing dances up in Virginia or like up in that side of the United States. It's just like it's
Yeah.
not a thing, you know.
And like for swing dancing is a really big thing in Texas. So like, you have two step. I'm mainly do two step and polka. Um and you don't find it. Like I've gone to a dance hall in Tennessee and it was legitimately almost all line dances. And I was like, "Whew, I only know like two of these." Like I can't join in. But I mean, I also just like the atmosphere being there because no one's judging you. Like if you make a mistake, no one's like getting on you for that. No one's mad at you. Like compared to like if you're playing a sport, like if you make a mistake, someone might be like on you about it, you know. And I don't know. I also am a big country music fan, so that might also be why I love dance halls. So
I was gonna guess country when you said you're from Texas. I mean, I know that's kind of a stereotype, but obviously a lot of stereotypes because they come from fact. Like that's country music's big down south. So like
yeah.
pretty good guess that if you're from Texas, you're gonna be into country music. And that's where I go like kind of end every episode is on music. And you can do this a couple different ways. It depends on like are you on your laptop or your phone right now?
I'm on my laptop.
Do you have your phone near you?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you an Apple Music or Spotify person?
Spotify.
Okay. So you want to go to your like liked songs or playlist, whatever you got, and then just random scroll and see what you
Okay.
land on.
Okay. Let's do it. Okay. Wait, hold on. I'll go to my favorite. I'll go to this one. I've got Josh Turner, Why Don't We Just Dance?
Yeah, I figured it would be country. Once you said you're country, do you have anything other than country in there? Just like out of curiosity, like are you
Well,
only
this
country or do you have other stuff mixed in there?
no, I have other stuff. Like I'm from Austin, so for me, songs that are like indie alternative, they remind me of home. So I really like them. So like the Wallows, I like them. I like their music because it legitimately just reminds me of home. Let's see what I have. Other than country in here. Let's see. Give me a minute. But I am like a giant country fan. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's hold on. Let me go to
I'm
my
not a huge country person. I like classic country, like
classic.
like 90s
Mm,
country and
I'm a
older.
Yeah, I'm a 90s fan. Like George Strait, he's my favorite. He is my
Yeah.
absolute favorite. I love him. I like Alan Jackson. And then like some guys that sound like 90s country, like Zach Top or Braxton Keith. I really love them. Um, like girl country artists, I would say Lainey Wilson's my queen. I love that girl. But
Yeah.
like other music I listen to, like the Lumineers, I'll listen to them. I like
Okay.
Ophelia or Ho Hey, or let's see here, Milky Chance, Stolen Dance. I love that song. Or Cage the Elephant. And this also is just like these are people that I've seen in concert. Like
Yeah.
back home we have something called ACL, which is actually going on right now. It pains me not to be home right now. And it's like this giant music festival, and I've gotten to see so many awesome artists at it, and it's really fun. I don't know, like that's where I get some of my music taste is literally just ACL. Like getting to go see them, like, oh, I like this ad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's kind of, I don't know. I'm a big music person. So like I'm always down to try something new. And like sometimes if you hear it live first, you've like never heard it before. That's like a good way to like discover new music because it's a whole different vibe. It's a whole different experience seeing something live. But that's kind of like why I like to end every episode on music is I don't know, hear what other people like. And if you make them scroll on their Spotify and like pick a song, then like you're really exposing what their true
For
music
sure.
is. Like I got some wacky stuff on my Spotify. So
Mhm.
like if I scroll, I mean, you never know what I'm gonna get. Like I mean, I might get country. Like I just did a scroll and I landed on "What a Wonderful World," Sam Cooke. You probably know this song, like an older song. But like if I go a little bit up, there's like classic country and I've got like punk rock. And then like if I go farther down, I've got like instrumental stuff and like
Mhm.
I'm all over the place.
It's just fair. It's just fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like an only one genre person. Like
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say only one genre, but like
90%.
mainly, let's say 90% is country. I'm not gonna lie. And it's honestly, it's just because I like the kind of country music I listen to is more like really sweet songs that are like, how much the guy loves his wife or like about his family. Like I really love Cody Johnson because that's a lot of his songs is what that entails. Um, or they're not, I don't know. I like the sound. My dad, he got me on country because he grew up in Prosper, Texas, which back then it was literally just farms. Now it's not, but back then it was. Like he would always tell me, he's like, Harper, when I was growing up, there's more cows than people in Prosper. I was like, okay, thanks, Dad. My grandpa was a cattle rancher, so like checks out. Um, but yeah, that's like how I got on it because of my dad. And then like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
My
was where my
my
music taste came from.
my favorite country artist is Randy Travis, and he's got a lot of
Oh, I
nice
love
songs too.
him.
Yeah. It
I like,
saddens me to see what he's like now in a wheelchair.
no,
He's like all frail and like he can barely talk and sing. It's very saddening because he had a wonderful voice. Just a
um,
wonderful voice.
I agree. I think Forever, is it Forever and Ever Amen?
Yep.
That's like one of my favorite songs. I have like a future wedding list on my, like, don't judge me. I have a future wedding list on my phone, and that's one of my songs that I'm like, you don't get a choice. Like, my future husband doesn't get a choice. It's gonna be played at the wedding.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful song. I mean, you can't how can you not like it? Even if you don't like country. Like the message is just happiness. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just the world needs more happiness. So I mean, don't be a
I agree
hater.
with
Even
you.
if you don't like country, don't be a hater.
Like just give it a chance. Like let me
Yeah.
just give you something to try. Because like for me, I don't just listen to one genre of country. I listen to a bunch. Like there's like kind of alternative country. Like Zach Bryan's more alternative
Right,
country. I
yeah.
like his music.
Totally different.
Or yeah, or like 90s
Tyler
country.
Childers. Like Tyler
I,
Childers a lot.
yeah, I love Tyler Childers, and he's just alternative. He's like alternative indie, let's say, because like
Yeah.
it's very different. But I like very, very little pop country. The only pop country artist I like is Megan Maroney.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of pop country and I feel like because I feel like it's trying to be too much pop than it
I
is
agree.
country. Like
I agree.
that's what I don't like about it. I guess like I like classic country. Like
Mhm.
if I find something like Johnny Cash or like you like old country, like because that's like pure country to me. Like I'm
Like Hank
listening to like
Williams
Waylon
old.
Jennings and like
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Hank Williams and like that's good stuff. Like
Mhm.
I don't know, gives me good fall vibes too. Like I don't know, going out hunting with my dad, listening to some classic country or whatever. Like that's that's where it's at. But then I hear like the pop country, like there's
Like,
more
no
pop than
offense.
country.
No offense, Morgan Wallen, but
Yeah, well, and he's got
come
some
on.
songs that have like rap in them, kind of like what are you doing, man? What's going on here?
They're doing too much.
Make
That's
up
what
your
they're
mind.
doing.
What do you want to be? Do you want to be a country singer? Do you want to be a rapper? Do you want to be a pop singer? Like just pick
Mhm.
one. No,
Yeah.
no, I mean
And
it's kind of neat, but it's just not my vibe.
yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And I um with you saying that some of them are like turning to like rap and stuff. I went over the summer, I went to CMA Fest in Nashville, and some of the artists they had, I was like, this is not country. Like this is completely pop. This is rap. Like what's going on? Like no offense, Shabuzi, but that's not country, whatever you're
Yeah, no,
playing.
that's a pop song.
It's a pop song, and now he's up for an award in country music. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well,
Who should
when
have the award? Zach Top, but okay.
when more people start liking it, you kind of like I don't know. I feel like each genre it has its like specific listeners, and when you
Mhm.
start drawing a crap ton of people who like 5 years ago said I hate country, and now they're listening to all these artists, that's kind of like my cool. It's like well then it's like half country, half pop
Yeah,
because it's
yeah. And
otherwise you wouldn't like it because you don't like true country,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. I mean, if you like seriously, if you look at all the people that are up for awards for CMAs, you'd be like, that's not country, that's not country. Listen to their music, you're like, that's
Yeah.
not it, that's not it, that's not it. And then you've got like Zach Top is, and I'm like, there we go. Ding ding ding. He should win because it's actually country. Thank you very much.
Hmm.
But
But the majority of the people don't like true country. Like
no,
only if you like true country if you're a country fan. If you're a
yeah,
pop
and
fan
yeah,
and a rap fan, that's why you like Shabuzi and Morgan Wallen and all that stuff
yeah,
because it sounds more like
what you
your
like.
vibe. Yeah.
And that's fine. Like if you
Yeah.
want to listen to them, listen to them. I'm not gonna judge you, but if you're gonna
No,
say
but
it's your
it's
country, I'm gonna judge you.
right. Yeah. You'd
That's
be like,
what
"Oh,
I'm
I
gonna be
love
like.
country." And like, actually, do you like country or do you like Morgan Wallen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like when people say they love country, I'm like, well, who you listen to?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then they're like, more one. I'm like, well, let me try put you on something else.
Yeah.
I'll give them something else to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what people need to get into country. They need like that kind of like half country to like
Yeah.
kind of get their foot in the door
Mhm.
and then like dive them like deeper into real country.
I mean, if I'm being quite honest, that was how I was when I started getting into country. Like I started listening to Luke Bryan, and I don't think he's like fully country. And then I like actually start. Then I went to George Strait was at ACL, my junior year of high school. I listened to him. I was like, holy moly, I love this guy. And then I started listening to him more, and then I started listening to more 90s country than pop country because like I would listen to more Wallen and Luke Bryan, and what's his name? It was like Kane Brown or something. I don't remember. Um, but then I like started shifting what I like because I got a little taste of country, and then I started going more into it, and there now I'm like
Yeah.
a true country fan. So
It could go the other way too. If you're big into country and
mhm.
you listen to Shaboozey, you could be like, maybe I'm gonna start listening to more pop songs. I don't know.
that's that's fine.
Yeah.
That's everybody has their choice of what they want to listen to. So
Yeah.
yeah. Of
Yeah. Definitely. Well, Harper, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast. It was a good time. Thanks for joining.
course, thank you so much. You have a good one.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.